school.
Yeah.
But when I first initially had asked you to do this little segment for our YouTube page, I was thinking that we'd start at the beginning of your career, but we ended up deciding to do the beginning of your first show, like in 1977. You said.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of well, I don't know. I mean, it kind of starts a little further back than that, really. My first show was 1977. It was Kiss, the Love Gun Tour. I mean, they were at the height of their popularity. They never got more popular than they were in 1977, ever. But, I mean, my love for music went way back before that, even as a kid. I mean, I don't think I ever saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. Because we were living in Japan at the time. My dad was in the military, and that's where he was stationed. So I don't think I saw the Beatles, but I remember as a little kid always saying that the Beatles were my favorite band. I don't remember why. I don't remember if I ever even knew who they were. Honestly, but that was my favorite band. As I got older, when I went to high school, I was listening to pop music. That's all we had in Roswell. It was KBCQ. We had no rock radio in Roswell.
And it was always,
But it's always been top 40.
Okay.
Basically, top 40.
Top 40.
Whatever was popular at the time, regardless if it was ABBA or if it was Tupac, they've always played what's popular at the time. The pop music. But, so that's what I was listening to, mostly as a kid, growing up.
So when were you born officially, can we say?
Sure, I don't care. Yeah,
Girls don't like to say, but...
I think it's pretty obvious I'm old with the white beard and hair, but my birthday is July 12th, 1961, so actually I am 61 years old this year.
Oh, really?
Just turned 61. Yes, indeed.
We always have a good time celebrating your birthday, so you basically were rocking right out of the womb.
I wouldn't say that. My parents weren't really much into music and stuff.
Oh, really?
My dad was very musical in a way, but him and I have way totally different tastes in music. He was into like big bands and stuff like that, and easy listening, like Jackie Gleason and and stuff like that. That was his style of music. But I kind of grew up on pop music, a little bit of country, but then in high school it all changed when I started hanging out with this group of friends of mine. I mean, as a kid I was always military. I'm always like the new kid in school. So it's really hard to fit in. I had a hard time fitting in. And when I first went to Roswell High, I had a hard time fitting in. I didn't make that many friends at first. But after a while, I ran into some people that were absolutely just so accommodating and so friendly. Many of them I'm still friends with to this day, which is almost 50 years later. That's how long we've been friends.
And you were in high school when you went to your first show, or you were in your 20s?
Yeah, I was in high school. I was 16 years old.
16.
Yeah, but anyway, they gave me the freedom, I would say, to be who I was. I mean, I was always trying to fit into this group or that group, and it never worked. These people gave me the freedom to be who I was, and they just happened to be rockers. And I was so impressed with some of them, had such great knowledge of rock and roll and stuff. I remember being at somebody's house one time, and they're like, what do you want to hear? They put on side 3 of Led Zeppelin, Physical Graffiti. I had no idea there was a Led Zeppelin Physical Graffiti, let alone, this guy knew exactly which side he wanted to hear. You know what I mean? I thought that was really cool, so that really kind of started my education in rock music, was through these people. They really kind of turned me on, and then I kind of like spread out a lot. I mean, I fell in love with music, with rock, at 14, 15 years old. And I've been in love with it to this day. Rock music is my absolute favorite. And it doesn't matter what kind. It could be Buddy Holly. It could be Slipknot. Anything in between that's rock, I love. But anyway, so I got into, I got into Kiss. Was my favorite band in high school. I think somebody had a poster. What? You moving it?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Just so that your hands don't smack it away.
Oh, I was watching it.
Oh, you were watching?
Yeah, I was watching
okay,
it.
just making
Thanks.
sure.
I think what got me into Kiss as a kid in high school, I don't remember who, but somebody in art class, they had done a picture, they'd drawn a picture of Gene Simmons from Kiss, as poster size. And they, it was one of the, they were showing off all their artwork and stuff, outside the class, and I saw this poster, and I'm like, wow. I mean, here's this guy with the makeup and the long tongue, and the dragon boots and stuff, and I was just like, as a 14, 15-year-old kid, I'm just like, wow, that is like the coolest thing ever. I saw the logo, and I heard it was a band, so I went and checked them out, and the more I learned about them.
How much did you pay for the ticket?
I hadn't even seen him at the concert yet. This was just a poster that this guy had hand drawn of Gene Simmons. That's it.
Hand drawn?
This is how I gotten into him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. It was really awesome. Like I said, that's what drew me to Kiss as my favorite band. Honestly, my other friends, they were like, whatever, Kiss. They were, but they didn't care. It was like, yeah, sure, go ahead, like whatever you want to like, But
and where were you at when you saw the poster again?
This is at Roswell High.
Wow.
Outside the art class.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, they had everybody was doing like their little art thingy, whatever, and they were just showing off everybody's art outside on the wall outside the class at Roswell High School, and that's where I saw it, and that's what drew me to Kiss, and then I used to hang out at the old Hastings at the Plains Park Shopping Center as a kid. I used to hang out there quite a bit, and I would just hang out and I would read all the rock magazines. Never bought one. Not a single one. I never bought a single one. But Hit Parader, Cream magazine, any rock magazine I could find, that they had on the shelves and stuff, I was reading them, checking out the articles, and I saw these pictures of like Kiss in concert. Man, these guys.
You ever got those like VHS tapes or the promo tapes that would be like a mixture of music videos from back then?
No.
Because they would have, because you didn't subscribe to any of those, because they would have these melons that you could do that and get these like videos that would kind of give you a taste of different.
I didn't even have a job when I first started getting into rock music, so I didn't, and the few albums that I was able to buy was like birthday money, Christmas money, that type of stuff. I started working at the old McDonald's, which is where the parking lot is now for the new McDonald's on Main Street. That's where the old one used to be. And I started there before I was even 16 years old. I was. Back
then, when can you work? You didn't have to have like a worker's permit?
Yeah, we were supposed to be 16, but this was the 70s. They didn't have all this stuff, I-9 forms, 12 different forms and 13 different forms of ID and your thumbprint, they didn't have all that crap back then.
It was like a little bit of cash and a couple of shakes.
No, actually, it was $1.90 an hour. Was what I was paid when I first started working at McDonald's here.
That's crazy.
$1.90 an hour. That was it. That was my pay. But I didn't even have a job, so I didn't have any. I didn't have access. I didn't know those existed.
Where did you end up seeing the flyer for the Kiss?
I didn't.
Or end up knowing they were going to be in concert?
I had no idea. Anyway. So moving forward, my mom knew who my favorite band was Kiss. She was up watching TV late at night back in this, in the 70s. We did have cable, but we got NBC came from Lubbock, and I think it was channel 11, if I remember correctly. It was channel 11. And she was up watching NBC Lubbock one night when I was in bed, because I had school the next morning, and she saw a television commercial for Kiss in concert in Lubbock.
And you guys lived where?
Here.
In Roswell?
In Roswell. I went to Roswell High School. So anyway, so she called them to find out, when the concert was and stuff, about getting tickets. They said, no, don't worry about it, it won't sell out. Don't need to do it over the phone. Just go ahead and get your tickets at the door, blah, blah, blah. So, and I didn't hear about any of this until later. But anyway, so she surprised me at school one day. She showed up at school, the day, I'll never forget the date, November 20th, 1977. Anyway, she showed up at school in the middle of the afternoon, like noon or 1, I can't even remember what it was. But anyway, she picked me up, and she didn't tell me where we were going. She had my sister in the car with her boyfriend at the time, and we just started driving. I'm like, where are we going? Where are we going? Nothing. You'll find out when we get there. And me, and honestly, as a kid.
No, that's not your birthday, because your birthday's July. Like, you literally did nothing to deserve this, just be like a.
My mom is the well, was, she passed away less than a year ago, but she was absolutely the coolest rock and roll mom ever. I mean, absolutely ever. You know, she introduced me to Kiss basically live. You know, so anyway, well, there's no special reason. She just knew that I loved Kiss. You know, and and she thought, oh, this would be a great way to surprise a kid. You know. So anyway, we finally get to Lubbock, and we get to the Lubbock County Coliseum, and lo and behold, big signs outside the front door. Kiss, sold out. Oh my God. I was like, you know, by the time we got there, I knew what was happening. My mom had told me, you know, by the time we got there, you know, and to see that sign up, and her telling me the story about, I tried to buy tickets a while back, and they said, don't worry about it. There, there should be plenty of tickets available at the door. And now she gets here, and she's pissed. And she's pissed because she called to try to get tickets, and they wouldn't sell them to her, told her to get them at the door, and now they're sold out. So she just made a 3-hour drive, or a 6-hour drive, round trip, for nothing, she thought. Anyway, she finally just says, I'll tell you what, here's $20. Tickets were $5 and $7. Those were the ticket prices on the ticket, $5 or $7. And I don't know what the difference was. Where you sat and everything.
Yeah.
It was, I think they were both GA, but one was GA floor, general admission, no seats, and then GA stands, first come, first serve. You got there first, you got the closest seats, type deal. But anyway, they're $5 and $7. She gave me a $20 bill and told me to get as many tickets she could, and we'll work it out when I come back. So, and I looked everywhere, nobody had a ticket. Everybody I asked, and believe me, I swear I asked everybody, walking up and down lines and stuff. Finally, I don't know why I was walking around the building, but I came across this group of people, and I asked if anybody had an extra ticket, and this one guy said, yeah, he had one ticket. And I asked him how much he wanted for it, and he said $15. $15! Holy crap, I only got 20. And all I had was a 20. I didn't have like a 10 and 2 5s. He had no change. So I just told him to keep the 20. And I got one ticket. And my mom, when she came back, and I told her the story, and she was like, one ticket, huh? For $20? All right, fine. You go to the concert, your sister and I and her boyfriend, we'll go do whatever it is, we'll find something to occupy our time, and we'll come pick you up around 11 o'clock or so. Okay, cool. So I go in to the concert, and it was the defining moment in my rock and roll history. I mean, when the lights went out and they hit the stage, and everything I saw that night in concert on stage absolutely and completely blew me away. I mean, I've seen pictures and stuff, in magazines, but to experience it firsthand, I mean, Gene Simmons spitting blood, breathing fire, he had the lizard boots on, and all the armor, and Peter Criss, the drummer, dressed up like a cat, and he's playing the drums, and he's at the end, he's got this riser that rises like all the way up to the lights and stuff, and it's got this curtain that hangs underneath it, with this big silver cat, and Paul Stanley with the star in his eye, and he's always talking to the audience and stuff. Ace Frehley just rocking it out on guitar during his guitar solo. He makes it smoke, and I mean, it is just like, he's shaking it, this thing is just like pouring smoke right out, so thick you can almost not even see him on stage, and then he like hangs this guitar like on a wire that you can't see, and it like kind of goes up to the ceiling, woo, 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 woo. He grabs another guitar, and he throws a few chords, and he stands on one side of the stage, and he hits a chord, and these sparks come out the end of his guitar, and the guitar explodes at the top of the lighting rig, right? He goes to the other side of the stage, he does again, plays a few chords, boom, sparks come out the end of the guitar, man, and next thing you know, there's an explosion behind the guitar that's up in the rafters.
So,
it was, just the whole thing, the smoke, the fire everywhere, you know, and stuff. It was just.
I feel bad for your mom and your sister and her boyfriend at the time because it's like, you on the car ride home, I could just imagine it.
Oh my
and
God.
you're 16 at the time,
16.
and I'm like, Tony 16?
I hadn't even kissed a girl yet.
Yeah.
So
You hadn't kissed a girl yet, but you
I hadn't even kissed a girl yet.
But now you're kissing all the girls.
Oh my God, it really was a defining moment. I mean, you
That's
see that
awesome.
kind of a spectacle, and it was a spectacle. It wasn't just like four guys coming out dressed in jeans and t-shirts, you know, and playing good music, you know. It was a spectacle. I mean, boy, you really got your
Okay.
money's worth back then.
So your
For
mom,
Kiss.
your mom definitely, I mean, is attributing to that whole love of it too, because
Oh, big time.
yeah, that's what I said. I mean,
She's-
you said she's a huge rocker mom ever, but it's also like, you know, she could have easily been like, "What do you mean $20? Like, let's go find that person and, you know, get my money back." Or
Well, yeah, there's no. He,
something
would have been,
else.
he was probably inside by that point.
Yeah,
More
but that's,
likely.
I mean, that's amazing that you ended up being able to experience and that she wasn't like, you're 16, you're not going inside of there, you know, or
See,
whatever.
my mom wasn't into the whole, you know, she'd heard about the whole Knights in Satan service crap, you know, that's what Kiss stood for, and she didn't buy it. You know, she was pretty smart. She heard the music
Yeah.
and stuff. She loved Beth.
So,
She loved that song because it was the pretty song.
yeah,
Beth,
so
thank
compared
you,
to,
Colin.
like, you've seen shows since 1977 and you've seen shows now, do you think that they take a little bit more, I guess, of a step back then in the stage show than they do now, or does it equal out? It's still just as good, or is it even better because of the technology?
Oh man, it's way better. I mean, I haven't seen Kiss in years. I think the last time I saw him was, I don't know, probably 2005 or 6, something like that. I can't remember how long it's been, but they still put a lot into their shows,
That's
big
awesome.
time. I mean, sure, the technology's come a long ways,
Yeah.
a long ways. You know, I mean, you know, now Gene Simmons, after he spits blood, you know, he flies basically up to the ceiling, you know, and he does the song all the way from up there with the blood dripping from his face and chin and everything.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know, I mean, but and now they have like lasers and they have big screens. As a matter of fact, my mom finally did get to see that show 19 years later.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because in 1996, Kiss had broken up, not really broken up, but the original drummer and guitar player had left the band. You know, Peter Criss and Ace Frehley.
Yeah.
And they had fill-ins and stuff, and then
Yeah.
they took off the makeup and everything, and they went through the
Yeah.
whole 80s and everything. They got back together in 1996, and they went on this world tour,
And
you
you're
know,
right.
and it was basically a replica of the tour that I saw in 1977,
That's so
the
cool.
Love Gun tour. They had the same costumes, almost the exact same set list. They changed it up a little bit. Same stage getup, but more modern, because they included a big, huge screen behind the behind the stage, you know, so they could put it on, you know, the band members, you know, during solos or whatever, audience members and stuff like that, you know. But so she finally did get to see that show only 19 years later. I saw that show 3 times. I saw it in Albuquerque, Las Cruces, and Lubbock, and I took my mom to go see it in Lubbock. Guess what she did?
What?
She fell asleep.
What do you expect? She's a
She
mom.
fell
She's
asleep
sleeping.
during Kiss. Now, when I was in the Roswell High School band and we would have concerts, she would come when she could, and I would see her like napping in the audience. And I understood because she worked 2 jobs at the time. She worked at the Department of Motor
Sneaking in
Vehicles
those
during the day,
sleeps.
and then she worked 4 nights a week. She worked as a waitress as a cocktail waitress at a bar. You know, so I mean, so she was tired. I understood that. But I mean, and you know, this is a high school band. How loud does it get? You know, I can see her sleeping up.
But you're on
During
Kiss.
Kiss, well, I saw Kiss in the 80s. They had a T-shirt that said, "If it's too loud, you're too old." And my mom is sleeping through Kiss. Now she didn't sleep through the whole concert, but she did sleep through a couple of songs or so.
That's funny.
You know, and it was. I mean, so she did finally kind of get to see the same show I did. You know, and I told her, I said, this is so close to the same show that you didn't get to see in 1977.
And you shared the
It was
moment with
19
her.
years later, huh?
That's awesome. And you got to share the moment with her.
Oh, exactly. We'll see. I did get to take her to Kiss when they still had makeup on, but it was no longer Peter Criss and Ace Frehley on guitar and drums. You know, now they had two different guys and different makeup and stuff. So she did get to see, but that was in El Paso, you know, and they were way on the downhill side because there was this last tour they did before they took off the makeup and started, you know, and then started touring without makeup.
Yeah.
You know, so she did get to see that. It wasn't the same.
Yeah.
You know, it was still good. I enjoyed it myself, you
Yeah.
know, but I mean, that's not the one that she would have seen.
Yeah.
You know, not even close.
Yeah.
And I've probably seen Kiss over the years, I don't know, 15 times or so.
15 times. That is so crazy. I haven't even seen them one time, but the way that you describe it makes me want to see it. And
I mean, even if you're not into the music, I mean, I'll be honest, I love Kiss. I mean, they're not my favorite band anymore because I no longer have a favorite band. I mean, ask me on any day, and it could be any different. You know, it could be the Eagles today, it could be Pink Floyd tomorrow, it could be, you know, Metallica the day after that.
I hear all the rando stuff that you're playing when I come into work. So.
Exactly. I mean, I love all kinds of rock and roll, so I don't really have a favorite, but I mean, Kiss is still kind of close to my heart.
Yes.
You know, because they were the original. I mean, it's like your first girlfriend, your first boyfriend. You never forget.
Yeah.
You know, you never forget that first one.
Well,
and that's basically what Kiss was. That was my first love.
Yeah.
You know, I had Kiss posters in my bedroom and stuff. That was what I loved, man. I mean, through them, I mean, you know, like I said, through that group of friends that I had, you know, I grew an appreciation for, you know, like AC/DC and Aerosmith and you know, Led Zeppelin and ZZ Top.
Yeah.
I mean, just any classic rock band you could think of from the 70s. You know, I mean, I grew a huge appreciation
That's one of the reasons
for
why
it.
we're doing this, because I mean, obviously we have to remember our first. Oh, it clipped off. Anyways, we're in the midst of you talking about not only the fact that you've been to Kiss 15 times, but being
At
able
least, I
to-
don't know, give or take, I really don't know the exact number. I couldn't tell
But
you.
being able to meet those people at Roswell High, you know, and introducing you to like kind of the rock scene, then your mom influencing you, and the fact that you've been to so many shows is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast with you, is because we get all these stories, not only of your experience, which people love you and your personality and stuff, and you've been on the rock station for years and years, but we want to kind of start from, like, I was thinking the beginning of your radio career, but we started from the beginning of like your musical love and first concert and kind of like how all that came about. So I'm glad that you spent the time with me today, and this isn't even the last one. So everybody listening to this video, subscribe to Majestic Communications Radio on the YouTube page. This is going to be a regular segment. We're going to try to do at least 2 a month. And that's not the only story this guy has in his pocket.
I don't want to brag, but I don't know if I've got 1 million, but I got at least 500,000 stories. Yeah.
Well, we're ready, and we got our 2 buddies here. We haven't named them yet, but we'll figure out their names and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
We gotta have an audience. I mean, you're entertainment right here. You're not just a character and telling us awesome stories, but I feel like you're full-fledged show.
And don't forget to tune in to KSFX on our Facebook page for the Tournament of Rock that is starting Labor Day weekend.
Yes, Tournament of Rock is gonna be awesome. Getting to vote for your favorite. And it's kind of like Battle of the Bands, but on the interwebs, huh? So that'll be
exactly. Cool. Like, here's basically what it is. We'll have like 2 bands going up against each other, and then you vote which one you think you know should advance to the next round, and then you know we'll have like brackets and stuff set up so that you know you could vote and decide, you know, AC/DC versus Led Zeppelin, you know, Kiss versus Deep Purple, or whoever. We don't know what it's gonna, you know. We're gonna ask you for a list of names. And then we're going to pick the 25 bands, I guess. And one band is going to have like a bye week until like the quarterfinals or something.
Yeah.
You know, so.
It should be cool.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what people in Roswell think, you know, where their heart's at. I have in my own mind who should probably win and who I think will win, you know, this tournament, you know, but at the same time.
Mine's going to be Led Zeppelin, so.
You know, I mean, I don't want to say, but I mean, it's one of those things like, you know.
I'm like a Jethro Tull too, like, and they're kind of in the same realm of just being like big, you know, noise, you know, not noise, but big band and boom and delicious.
I wish I could say it was the Beatles, but
no.
You know, for those of you who don't know, the Cavern Club is where the Beatles got their start in Liverpool back in the early '60s. So they played like 269 shows at the Cavern Club, and when I was just in London, I got to go visit the Cavern
He's spoiled.
Yeah, I
We got
enjoy
many
it.
more stories with Tony, and we don't know if it's time with Tony. It's not going to be 10 minutes because we talked way more than 10 minutes. Talking with Tony,
Well,
you're going to
we're-
have to help us come up with the idea or the name for this segment. But don't forget to subscribe again. And of course, we got Tony Clayton here looking awesome today and ready for his little story time adventure with me. So subscribe, check out our contest on KSFX, and don't forget to keep rocking out. And there's never too much time with Tony.